Can you get your ex back after years apart? The answer is yes, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Hey there, it's Clay with modernlove.life. You know, we have, of course, been talking about saving relationships and this whole breakup process on this channel for a long time. I'd be surprised if I haven't already addressed this before, but who knows? I got the question from someone who wanted to know, how exactly would you go about the process of getting back together with an ex after years apart? So this is of course, something that you can do. And in fact, this can be something that is easier to do than you may realize if you're in a different sort of situation. The reason why is because, you know, your ex after a breakup is going to have a certain amount of emotional resistance, skepticism, reactance, etc. towards welcoming you back into their life for a lot of different reasons. This emotional resistance can be reduced through things like how you show up and interact with one another. Like if you show up and interact in a calm, reasonable, mature sort of way, you're going to have a very different experience than if you interact with one another in a highly panicked, anxious sort of way. This resistance will also be reduced by just simply not being in contact for a period of time. You know, that's one reason why people do recommend you do use no contact. I think there are, of course, other considerations as well when it comes to no contact, but there is, you know, one benefit for it if there is one, and that's what I'd say when it comes to that. You are, of course, going to need to get back in touch with your ex if it's been a while and if you aren't actively in contact with one another still. And of course, as you do this, you want to be sort of, you know, even-keeled and consistent about how you're showing up with them. You don't want to be overly eager, overly excited or anything like that, because that's just going to start the dynamic out in this sort of lopsided dynamic where you are way over invested. They may not even be thinking about you because maybe it's been, you know, many years or something like that, and they're focused on other things right now in their life. But you just want to simply just reconnect with them in a cool, casual, calm kind of way. And then after that, after you have that initial form of connection in place, then you can actually start to build from there to build up a strong emotional bond. You know, this is where things like the rapport building, the advanced relational skills, the conversation stuff that we talk about inside of the X Solution program, effortless connection, etc. come into play. If you don't know what those are, we have links for those down below in the description box. Then, you know, you want to actually start to build this out, the emotional bond, the emotional connection with one another, because, you know, sure, maybe you had some kind of connection back in the past. We want to see if there's still anything there right now. So we want to build this emotional bond, build this emotional connection through things such as the advanced relational skills, such as the conversational skills, etc. And as we're doing that, we're kind of putting a deposit into a sort of emotional bank account that you might consider, metaphorically speaking, that you have with your ex. And every time you make a deposit in this account, you're essentially having a positive interaction. You're getting a little bit closer emotionally. You're showing up, you're building this emotional bond with one another. You're being honest, you're being vulnerable, you're having curiosity, you're having all of these high quality traits that we're looking for in a strong emotional bond and a strong emotional connection. As you start to have more of a clear, obvious, strong connection with one another, that's when you might start to think about taking things to that next level, where you talk about commitment, talk about getting back together, talk about being boyfriend, girlfriend, etc. This is actually the same process that a client of mine went through recently. You know, she had been out of contact with her ex for, I think it was something like 5 or 6 or 7 years or something like that. And then they got back in contact with one another. I think it was like right around the time that COVID was just getting started. They actually were able to meet up, get back in touch with one another, connect a little bit. And then COVID and everything else in the world sort of put a pause on that. And so they had to, you know, stay away from one another. They, you know, would message each other from time to time. And I think like talk on the phone or something from time to time. But they didn't, you know, meet up for a while because, you know, that's what people were doing back then. You know, once things started to settle down a little bit, they actually did start seeing each other again. And they did build up that emotional bond and that emotional connection. And now they are, you know, officially back together again. They're boyfriend and girlfriend again. And there were some processes along the way in terms of like doubts that had to be removed out of the way. And, you know, there were some things as well too, like even after they were together, she was a little bit concerned that he wasn't introducing her to his family and all of that. But they got through that. She met the family. They were like totally chill about that. Oftentimes these concerns that we have about friends and family, they just sort of become this larger issue in our mind than they actually are in reality. So that was definitely the case with her. But it's really through this process of reconnecting slowly through just, casually reaching out, getting back in contact. Like that's obviously the first thing we need to do. If you're not talking and you want to be in a relationship, the very first step is talking. And then after that, we want to build up an emotional connection with one another, and then get to the point where it makes sense to actually have a conversation and talk about getting back together. So yeah, is that something that you're going through right now? Go ahead and leave a comment down below letting me know the story between you and your ex from, maybe a long time ago, years ago, maybe even decades ago. I don't know. What are things going on right now? Where are you at in this whole process? And what is it that you need to be focusing on right now in order to get things moving forward? Is it maybe just getting back in contact? Is it building that emotional bond, that emotional connection? Or is it perhaps getting rid of emotional obstacles? Even though there may have been time that passed, you may need to use things such as the fresh start message or things of that nature to actually get through those emotional blockages that could be in the way. Yes, it may have been a long time, but they could still be hung up on past hurts, past grudges, past pains, etc. So maybe you just need to take some time to clear some of that out. Anyway, go ahead and leave a comment down below letting me know where you're at. Take care, and I'll talk to you in the next video.